Hey guys, Christy here. I just wanted to make a follow-up video to my last one about, well, quite frankly, why dieting sucks, but more specifically, kind of why it leads to, overeating and why it just doesn't work, because it's just, can't restrict our bodies for life. It just won't work out. But anyways, I wanted to make a video about cravings and kind of that need to eat something specific like right now, because that's kind of a lot of people's worry when it comes to intuitive eating. If I'm allowed to eat what I want, all I'm going to eat is chocolate and sugar and Doritos. I don't know, because that's all I think about when I'm dieting. Hopefully all you think about when you're dieting is not Doritos, but yeah, a lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to eat all those bad foods all the time. And quite frankly, at the beginning, you might. When I first started intuitive eating, I had been restricting on and off for 5 years. I had not been allowing myself so many different kinds of foods for that long. So at the beginning, in order to really get into an intuitive eating, you have to completely reject the diet mentality and you have to go 100%. You can't just be like halfway and still in the back of your mind think that a diet would work better, because as long as you do, then you'll eventually go back to a diet. So I completely rejected diets. I knew I just could not afford to do another one after doing them for 5 years. So, that first 2 weeks, I ate frozen yogurt almost every day. I had lots of peanut butter. I had cereal. Basically all the things that I had not allowed myself for so long and had felt guilty about eating. That's what I ate. But I only ate when I was hungry. So I actually ended up eating less than I did when I was dieting, because when I was dieting, I would do so great for like 2 days and I would restrict, but then I would end up making up for it, eventually with a huge binge. So by eating just when I was hungry, even though I was eating those foods that I had previously considered bad or had craved, I actually ate less. And during those 2 weeks, even though I did not feel great, which is why eventually I naturally moved away from that stuff, I didn't gain weight. I didn't look any different. I honestly felt worse just because, I wasn't really giving my body what it needed nutrient-wise, but it had nothing to do, it didn't affect me necessarily weight-wise or things like that. I ended up moving towards real food and better food. Not real food. Frozen yogurt's totally real, but I moved towards more nutrient-dense food naturally because my body eventually, that's what it wanted. I noticed that I felt better when I ate something that was, had more protein, it had more a variety, and frozen yogurt and things like that just didn't do it. So yeah, that's kind of how I don't have cravings anymore, because I totally allowed myself to work out all those foods, allow myself to eat them unconditionally, when I was hungry, and not judging myself for them, not feeling guilty because I was hungry and I was giving my body fuel, and I didn't feel the need to overeat them because I knew in 3 hours when I was hungry again, I could have it again, and sometimes that's what I did. And at the beginning, that's what you have to do, and it takes some people longer to go through that phase than others. In one of the books I read, the author basically did 5 weeks of cookie dough, which is crazy to most of us probably, but that's how long it took her to get that out of her system. And then eventually she just could not do that anymore. And she did gain a little weight, but guess what? She naturally lost it all when she started giving her body what it actually wanted, after she got through that initial phase. So yeah, that's kind of how, as an intuitive eater, I avoid cravings, because I unconditionally allow myself to eat anything that I want. And once you do that, and once you don't have forbidden foods, you don't have that thing in your brain that's like, oh, I can't. If you say I can't have chocolate, well, you're gonna want it 10 times more than you did before. It's just like telling a kid they can't go, I don't know, drive a car, or I don't know, whatever you tell kids they can't do. They're gonna want to do whatever that thing is even more. That was a terrible example. But yeah, so that is another reason that cravings occur. It's when we kind of forbid foods from ourselves. I'm sure that when you're on a diet, you don't necessarily crave carrots or, I don't know, other like spinach. I'm sure you don't crave those things. You might enjoy them, but I'm sure you don't, you're not up on a Saturday night at 10 like, oh my God, I could really go for some carrot sticks right now. You probably crave high sugar, high fat, calorie dense foods because you're craving what you're not allowing. And your body wants something more calorie dense because if you're restricting yourself calorie wise, it wants something that's going to be a big bang for its buck. Another thing about cravings is they are actually biological, or they're like an evolutionary thing. Back in the day, like way back in the day, like Stone Age, calorie dense, rich foods were a good thing because, they obviously didn't have as much access to food, and so those kind of foods were like gold. And so if you could get your hands on them, you ate them. And, nowadays we don't have that problem. We don't have a shortage. We have access to basically any food that we could want, but that doesn't mean that our biology or the way our body works has changed, because it just hasn't been long enough time. So when we restrict and we diet, like I mentioned in the last video, our body thinks that it's starving because it doesn't know that it has access to all this food. And so when it's in starvation mode, it's kind of like, those guys back in the Stone Age, then it wants anything that is going to be high calorie, high sugar, and that's the same for today. So if you sustain yourself on 1,200 calories of, including none of that stuff, that's why you have those cravings. And once you kind of break free from forbidden foods, bad foods, low calorie diet mentality, then you'll notice that your cravings seriously diminish. It's just, they're not as desirable once you know that you can have anything you want. Since I did the whole frozen yogurt 2-week thing, which was about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I honestly rarely, if ever, eat frozen yogurt anymore, because now I know I can have it whenever I want it. And now that it's available whenever I'm hungry the next time, it's just not as desirable, and I don't really want it that much because it doesn't keep me full. It makes me hungry in like an hour, even though I know that I just ate plenty, and it just doesn't make me feel good, Same with all the other foods that I used to restrict. Some of them I still enjoy. I eat cereal. I eat peanut butter. I eat some of those things that I didn't allow before, but now I don't feel the need to eat all of the peanut butter because it just doesn't make me feel good, but I know I can eat it again. So yeah. Another thing about cravings that I wanted to mention was in this book, I'm sure a lot of you go through this. She refers to it as chasing the phantom food. When you do have a craving like chocolate or whatever it is, we often chase the phantom food. So, for example, she says, how many times have you eaten a rice cake when you really wanted potato chips? And how many rice cakes, carrots, and apples have you eaten attempting to get the same satisfaction you would have found with a handful of chips? If you feel truly satisfied with your eating experience, you will find that you eat far less food, which is so true. When I was in my worst, restricting binging cycle, if I wanted peanut butter, for example, I keep mentioning the same foods, but I was pretty focused on those 3 things. If I wanted peanut butter, I would eat crackers. I would go eat grapes. I would go eat cereal. I would literally just go graze on everything, trying to satisfy myself, when really all I wanted was peanut butter. And then in the end, I still ate the peanut butter anyways. So I would eat all the food, trying to distract myself from the peanut butter, and then still end up eating that anyways. So had I just eaten what I wanted in the first place, I would have eaten a lot less, and that's how I am now. I sometimes still struggle with that. Like, if I'm hungry and I just really want a bowl of cereal, that's just what sounds good. I'm like, but it's dinner and I should eat something else. I shouldn't have a bowl of cereal. I'm like, no, because I'm going to sit down and I'm going to eat this whatever for dinner. I'm going to eat a veggie burger and some sweet potatoes because that's, something I eat a lot. If I eat that, I'm going to end up eating a bowl of cereal right after. I know that I will because that's what I wanted. And so I'll eat what I actually want, and then I don't eat that veggie burger, sweet potatoes, and 6 other things before I get to what I actually wanted. So yeah, basically as long as you're in a diet mentality, cravings are going to exist. Now, that's not to say that I still don't have cravings. You know, even after, like, late at night, even if I'm not hungry, you know, I'll often be like, man, chocolate sounds really good. Well, of course it does. Chocolate basically always sounds good to me. But, you know I'm not hungry, and sometimes I'll still eat a small piece anyways, because intuitive eating is not about rules. You know, there is no not eating after 7. There is no always must eat only when hungry. You know, so sometimes I'll have a small piece and I'll feel totally satisfied, and then I'm done, and then I'll go brush my teeth and I'll go to bed. Other times I'm like, you know what, you know, is that really gonna make me feel any better? Is that really gonna make a difference? Do I really need to go eat that chocolate? And I'll just decide, no, I can just have some tomorrow if I want it, and I'll just go brush my teeth and just be done, because I know I can have it the next day. It's not your willpower or self-control that causes you to give in to your cravings. It's the fact that you think you're not going to be able to have it the next day. It's the fact that you think you're never going to be able to have it. It's the fact that your body is feeling restricted and thinks that it's never going to have it again. So you're fighting so many different things, and it's only a matter of time before you give in. But it's really not you giving in, it's just what's going to happen. So the best thing I can say is I never was able to overcome cravings until I stopped dieting and until I truly allowed everything to be an option. So I know that probably leads maybe you to wonder, well, if I allow myself to eat anything I want, I'm going to eat everything and gain so much weight. So that's a really common question, but since this video has already been quite long, I'm going to save that for the next one, because I know that's one of the most common questions I get is, if I allow myself to eat anything, I will get fat. And I'm living proof that that does not work that way. And yeah, so I want to address that worry next time, because I don't want that to be the reason that you stop yourself from getting out of this restriction dieting cycle that never ends. So until then, I hope this helped you a little bit. I appreciate any feedback or anything that helped you, or if you have any questions, please leave them below, because it gives me an idea for next time. So I hope you have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and I will see you soon. Bye.